So when deciding to tackle an HTPC style build, most people will choose small cases like the Node 202, or I have something similar to it in a Silverstone SG13. Something small that you can just kind of tuck away, no big deal, and it's very low power consumption, and that's normally what people go with. You know, something simple. I'm not most people, and I decided that I wanted to do something a little more, you could call it exotic, something a little more flashy for an entertainment stand that we have down in the basement, which will be, you'll see it later in the video. So I decided to try my hand at mineral oil cooling. Now, mineral oil versus like water cooling and stuff, you actually submerge everything. Mineral oil is non-conductive and it conducts heat, as far as I know at least, just as well as water does. So it's what most people do is put everything in like an actual regular aquarium fish tank and modify it obviously to house your stuff. So that's what I did. And I could tell you that it is not as easy as one would think, and you wouldn't think that it'd be all that easy to begin with in the first place. So there's a lot of steps that are involved, and I'll explain them after these. Okay, so one important thing that you have to take note of is the actual aquarium rock that you'll use. For most, I would actually say all aquarium rock, you really need to like actually clean it pretty well before you can put it in any type of mineral oil computer. So this is the rock I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using more than this, obviously, for this tank that I have. Also have some of these little glass stone things as accents. But what I would recommend, what I would imagine would be the best way to do it is have a plastic container like this. If you guys don't have one, I mean, Walmart will sell them, and Lowe's, I know, sells them as well. They're not that expensive, and trust me, this thing helps a lot throughout this entire project. For any reason that you would need to put anything in an actual container, you can use one of these guys. So make sure that the rocks are thoroughly cleaned. Make sure there's no paint. One thing I learned, get coated acrylic rock. Like rock that's coated in acrylic, because if you don't, then no matter what you do, no matter how good of paint coating there is, the paint will eventually leach off. And while I'm doing this, I'm trying to get like any rocks that aren't properly coated or chipped or not the color I want them to be, because I'm kind of anal about stuff. You don't really have to do that much, but I am, just because, I mean, it just takes a little bit longer, and it's going to end up looking a lot better. So there's not going to be something like that just sticking out like a sore thumb in the rest of the tank. So the video might have changed just a little bit because I'm actually using my phone instead of that camcorder, but I'm liking the phone video a little bit better. Now, I'm wanting you guys to be able to see this because as it's upside down, only because, you know, shipping label on the other side of my address and stuff. Nah, bro. My power supply had to be changed because it was too big for the tank that I was wanting. So, look at the insanely tiny, adorable little box. This has a power supply and this whole unboxing thing is not easy. I don't know how people do it, but it's got my power supply and a cable that I need for said power supply, because you'll see there's a reason why there's a SATA here and things. So, oh my gosh, this is so tiny. What? I hope this isn't insanely too echoey for you guys, but I got the smallest power supply other than a Pico that I've ever seen in my entire life. Because even an SFX power supply was going to be too small, or too big, which is ridiculous because SFXs are so insanely tiny. There's a sneak peek. Oh my gosh, it's so tiny! Oh, this is ridiculous. So it's a 300 watt rose wheel. It's a TFX instead of an SFX, which is ridiculous. So it's like 2.5 inches tall. Dude, like, it's literally as long as my hand is. What? And that's why I needed the Molex to SATA, because I'm running SATAs outside of the tank. I'll show you guys later. And I needed a SATA for inside the tank for the SSD, which I'll also show you guys later. And it doesn't, I mean, it's good enough, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of options for the connectivity. It has just enough, though, and it's got these ugly wires, but hey, they're going to be all covered by aquarium rock. The only one that I had to replace was the 4-pin, but I got a black sleeve one, so you guys will be able to see that here soon. Now, as ugly as it may be, it's very important to make sure that you test all your hardware, especially for a mineral oil computer, before you put the entire freaking thing together. Especially because I'm not 1,000% sure about this power supply, so I'm just gonna stress it, make sure that it can handle everything. But especially with the mineral oil PC, because I've had to put this thing together before, as some of you might know if you follow me on Twitter, and it didn't work. And oil's a pain. That's one of the things, if you guys are wanting to build one of these yourself, that you have to understand. There will be maintenance. Oil sucks. It gets everywhere if you're not careful, and it's insanely annoying to try to clean up. Unless I have it take like I think it's an isopropyl bath, I think you have to do. There will always be oil on this motherboard. It just does not want to come off. So you guys have to remember that if you're wanting to replicate something like this.